My top tips on how and when to take bee pollen safely and effectively. Before I get into how to take bee pollen, you need to know first off that it is typically available in three forms: granules, capsules and chewable tablets. The best way to take it and how much to take will depend on your goals and why you're taking it, along with of course your budget. It is very important that you follow these recommended guidelines when introducing bee pollen into your diet. If you are sensitive to the pollens in the supplement that you are taking, you could potentially have a reaction to it, although this is rare. How to take bee pollen granules. The first time I've been taking it by the tablespoon daily since I was a child, so I know I can tolerate it very well and I won't be having an adverse reaction. But, if you're new to taking this superfood, I suggest you follow these guidelines to determine your sensitivity to it. Although bee pollen is not a drug, it is possible you could be sensitive to it, so it's best that you're cautious the first time you take it. Should I pre-soak my bee pollen? I'm very interested in adding bee pollen to my diet, but I have read that most humans need to soak bee pollen for 10-12 hours to increase assimilation from 7 to 12% to plus-minus 90% after soaking the pollen, to crack the shell, according to the research of a certain Dr. Cherbuliez. When the topic of how to take bee pollen comes up, I often get asked about pre-soaking. Dr. Cherbuliez is the vice president of the American Apitherapy Society, and his view about soaking bee pollen for optimum digestion is widely published throughout the internet. Dr. Cherbuliez is actually a psychiatrist who became interested in beekeeping and apitherapy, and some sites claim that he has done research on bee pollen absorption. I have yet to be able to find or read the actual research and have no idea how or when he was able to measure the absorption rates of bee pollen. Because of this and a complete lack of other research supporting Dr. Cherbuliez's claims, I am not totally convinced that one soaking pollen for 12 hours is necessary for everyone. I do find that it helps those who have impaired digestion of some kind, those who suffer from irritable bowel, Crohn's, colitis, gas and bloating, etc. It certainly won't hurt the bee pollen or you. On the other hand, it is well known that pre-soaking certain nuts and seeds helps those who have a hard time digesting them. So even though pollen is not a nut, it is food for thought. I personally believe that if you chew your raw pollen, the human digestive tract is quite capable of breaking down the outer shell of the pollen granule and releasing the valuable nutrients into your GI tract.